Welcome back, everybody. My name is Joe. This is Work Hard RC, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new ESC by INJORA. This is the Gen 2. This one's a lot smaller than the old one, and we're going to be running that with the Fat Viper motor. We're going to go ahead and get these installed, open up, take a look, see how they run, and then maybe do a little comparison with the Fury Tech that we just installed in one of our other builds. So let's check it out. Alright, so we did end up getting these directly from INJORA. It took a little bit longer than I expected, but coming from China, I guess it really wasn't that long. So we're going to go and open the motor and see what's in the package. If you guys are familiar with the Fat Viper motor, you guys already know how this looks. So let's just show you that real quick. You get the nice pancake Fat Viper motor right there. And then you also get some gearing and screws in the packaging. You don't need that for the transmission. And then you also have the pinion gear in here as well. And then you have the transmission casing right there, and that looks to be like carbon fiber and aluminum. So we'll open that real quick and show you guys that. So that's what you get in the packaging as well. And then as far as the ESC, it comes in this little box right here, and we're going to go ahead and open this up. I haven't seen too much on this other than photos and knowing that it just came out not too long ago. Like I said, I ordered it directly from INJORA. It took about, I would say about a week to get to me, which wasn't too bad. Normally when I order things and they are domestic or shipped from here in the US, it takes about 3 days or less, so not too long coming that given that it came from China. So let's go ahead and open this up. It's nice and sealed there, so we can make sure that all the quality checks were there. Looks like it says QC passed. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a look. Looks like we have, well, the ESC, we'll take a look at that in a little bit. You have some Velcro mounting there. You have some adapters for connections here, which is pretty cool because I just bought a LiPo, and it looks like I could probably use this connector here. We'll see. It has your connection for your Traxxas. So this one right here is for the Traxxas right there. So we do have some Traxxas batteries and stuff, so we'll see how that works there. And then here is the ESC itself. Well, there it is. This is the MBL32 G2. This is waterproof. Brush for the brushless motor, brushless ESC, and it looks like we have the ability to go 6 volt and 7.4 right there by that little switch. And then you have your on-off button right there, which looks like it's a push button, which might make it is push button. You hear that nice little click. Should be a little bit easier than the Fury Tech. It does have, looks like a plastic housing. It's not metal. But it is decently small, a lot smaller than the other one, but not quite as small as the Micro Python. And again, we'll open up our other build and we'll show it side by side. Actually, we have it right here. I can show you that right now, just briefly to see a size comparison between the Fury Tech and this. So I'll just kind of show you there. That's the Fury Tech. And even if I put it right alongside it, you can see it is a bit bigger. And I'll give you some better close-up shots here in a little bit. And I'll pan through that so you can kind of see the differences between the two, but I didn't want to install it yet, or uninstall that Fury Tech. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like and how big it is. So it looks like those adapters are for this connection here for the battery, and that makes sense because the battery we're running now, and I'll show you what I have currently in my setup. Go ahead and unplug the battery. I have... So we're running a 3S in our other setup, and this one will probably be running a 3S as well. So this one initially came with these plugs. I forget, these are XT, what are these? XT30UF, so XT30 plugs there. And initially this LiPo came with plugs like that, which now I know that if that's the case and it comes with those, I can just not have to wire these to mini Deans, just wire that directly. And then that adapter will allow you to wire it into your, let me see, I had it backwards, so I'll need another battery. Let me grab this battery Actually, they're all charging, but either way, that'll plug into your normal plug there that you might have on your LiPo for like a 2S or a 3S, and then from there, you can take that adapter, and then you can plug it into your new ESC. And here in a little bit, once I grab it out of the battery, it is charging. You'll see how that works and how it connects, but just know you have all the adapters to run it appropriately, and that's the ESC there. So let's go ahead and install it. We're going to be installing this inside of our Bug 24. I've been waiting for it to come in because I had plans to install it in the Bug 24. So we're going to basically take this thing apart and install the new ESC. Here you can see that everything on this is INJORA with the exception of the wheels. I have some new wheels coming for this, which will keep it an entire INJORA build from the ground up. So you can see there how the internals are. It's kind of a mess with all the wiring. We do have some lights in there that are functioning that we use all the time, but we should be able to save some space with this new ESC, and we'll see how much space we save with the motor. But that's what we're going to be installing this motor and this ESC in. So let's go ahead and get this prepped, ready to install the new motor, and then we'll put together the new transmission. We'll get that installed, and then we'll take it out for a test drive. All right, so on the most part, we have everything out that we need. We have our Viper motor. We have parts of our transmission that we'll go over here in a bit. But basically, I took some donor parts off of my old motor and transmission that I had in the Bug 24. And essentially what I did is took this piece off here with all of the gearing inside with the, let's see if this one turns, with everything to mount your drive shafts. So this one you can see is intact because I took another piece and put it on here. This one's got plastic gearing, but the one I took off is this one right here, which has metal gearing. So if you have this motor here and you remove the metal plate and the gearing, you'll get this piece here. And essentially what I'm going to do is put all this together with the transmission plate that it comes with. That one's carbon fiber here, and I'll show you how that mounts together. So essentially what we're going to do is align this plate right here. You'll see there'll be 4 holes. You'll have 2 here up top and 2 below. So we're going to go ahead and put the screws there. We're going to be using our 0.5 millimeter, and we're going to screw that in. It does come with all the hardware inside of the box, so we're going to go ahead and screw that in right now. All right, make sure you have that nice and secure, and you have that plate back there. Next thing we're going to do is install the gear. So we do have the gear here, and I'm going to go ahead and place that right over the top. You'll see, let me just show you guys here, that you'll have, it's not really necessarily directional, but just make sure that you get this piece here that's a little bit taller on that side, facing the carbon fiber. And at that point, you're going to get the screw that was initially on, or you saw it on the original motor where it was placed, kind of like what you put on the axles to put your tires on. I believe it's the same size. So we're going to start that screw by hand, and then we're just going to, I don't even have it attached to my handle. I just want to kind of hand tighten it to get everything in place. Now again, working with these small 1/24 scale models, cars, it really makes you focus your eyes and your fingers to make sure you have all that in place. So that looks like it's free spinning there. We're going to go ahead and get some of our white lithium grease that up, and then we will go on to the next step. All right, so the grease that I use is white lithium grease. In another life in my past, probably I think beginning 2010, 2011, we had an airsoft business, and we used this for our airsoft gearing in the gearbox. So we do have some experience with this, with gearing, so we're going to go ahead and use it for this. I'm just going to put some on the gear here, just around. We're going to go ahead and throw some on the bottom here. And then I'm just going to put just a little dab on the motor pinion gear. Now we did install this, it does have a set screw. I didn't show that on camera, but essentially you do the pinion gear and set that with the set screw there. So just know that piece I didn't show on camera, but you put the pinion gear on that. It is flat on one side, and then you put that set screw against the flat side and tighten it up. So once you have those gears lubed up, you're going to take this plate here, and you're just going to set it against the carbon fiber so that those holes match up just like that. And then we're going to take the included screws and we're going to put that together. So essentially we're going to take the remaining screws. There are some extra set screws in here for that pinion gear. We'll just save those should we need it in the future. But essentially we're just going to start these screws here. And essentially what you're going to have is 1, 2, 3 screws that's going to complete all the gearing gearbox for the transmission. And then we're going to install the motor from this point on. Now, let me go ahead and grab. So you will have the larger screws in here, which will, let's see what size we need for these larger screws. Let me just go ahead and double check what fits in there. I might have to jump into my other bag to grab the correct size for that, and I'll tell you what size that is. Alright, so it is a 2 millimeter tool that you'll need to screw in the larger screws for the motor, and that's going to be installing the actual motor to the transmission. So let's go ahead and get that set up. You will have some different mounting options in the sense of you have 2 holes here and on the bottom, so depending on which way you want your wire to be facing, on the most part is how you're going to set that up. So once we have that aligned, I'm going to go ahead and start the screws. Let's go ahead and do that now. Oh, I need my larger tool here, which I guess I already have with screws started. So I'll go ahead and start that one, and then we're going to start the second one. And then we're just going to fit the pinion gear onto the transmission so that it moves freely, and I'll show you that here once I have it set. Alright, so you can kind of see how we have that screwed in like that, with those 2 larger screws that are 2 millimeters. And then what I'll check here is the pinion gear against the other gear you see inside that window, and you see that it's spinning freely, does not lock up, does not bind. I just spin it and the Fat Viper spins. So if you go too tight or too loose, you'll notice that it needs more tension or less tension. I have it just about right, and I'll tune that as I need as we go along, but for now I think that is going to work. So I'm just going to tighten everything up, and we'll call that good as far as the install of the motor to the transmission. So there we have it, ready to go inside of our chassis here. So let's go ahead and see how we can fit this, and then we'll go on to the ESC. Alright, so we try to make all of the wiring as clean as possible. I really wanted to keep the lights that I have on the basically underglow, the night lights, the rock lights installed, so I did the best I could. It doesn't look too pretty right now, but at least it's all organized on one side. So we're going to go ahead and talk briefly about the ESC. So I got this off of INJORA, like I mentioned in the beginning, directly from their website. It was, I believe, $66, and then I had it shipped. So for that price, you get the ESC. This is the smaller. This is the MBL32 G2, and again, it is the micro brushless ESC. So the benefit over this from the older one, I don't have the older one for the brushless, but I know that it was a bit bigger. It had the wires running out of the side, where this one's running on the top. And then if you compare that one even to the older, just regular ESC, the brushless ESC here, you see there's a big size difference there. However, when you do compare it to like a MicroPython, it is bigger, but not too big. One thing to note is that it does have a plastic casing, so just know that, but it is waterproof. And you can also run a 3S battery, and on the top of this you can see it has a 7.4 volt and a 6 volt option there on top, and you can just toggle through the switches there. It does support the PC programming with the USB programmer card. I don't have that, but I will eventually get it. I wasn't sure if this was going to have an app like the Fury Tech does, but it does not. So just know that it does not have the app for this particular model. I'm not sure if INJORA will do that in the future. And it does have this little note in the box when you get it. And that note basically says, before powering on, please set the transmitter's throttle trim to 0% at neutral so the remote control can connect to the ESC well. So we're going to do that right now, but in the most part I have everything kind of set up the way I want it. We're going to mount this to the rear, and luckily enough for me, the way I have it set up right now, I'm able to keep the Bug 24 body intact with the seats. I don't necessarily need it. I could have taken it out, but it is nice that I was able to keep those seats installed with the motor and everything else in there. So just know if you do have this, you can fit your internals with the ESC and the motor and the battery while keeping and retaining the Bug 24 integrity as far as what it comes with in the box and how it comes out of the box with the seats there. So as far as the battery, since this is 3S capable, I'm going to go ahead and run a 3S. Now I did have to wire this to Dean's for another car that I have. I don't have the adapter right now for the XT plugs, so we're going to go ahead and use the adapter that I have, and that'll still work for what I need it to do, because the battery is going to be a little bit longer of a plug than I would like. But for the time being, just to test it, essentially is going to have a long little trail there. Probably not the best idea for you to, let me plug this in here, when you're trying to get the best current through the wire. So on the next run, or maybe before I run it with this motor, I'll get the appropriate battery. But for now, we're going to have that little tail there that's going to allow us to use it. But let's put this ESC where it's going to go. I will be able to access the button, the on-off button for the ESC, the way I'm going to have it mounted. So I'm going to basically have it just like this. We'll have this wire pigtail hanging out to attach to the motor. So let's go ahead and stick that. I already have the double-sided tape there. And then we're going to test everything to make sure that our body closes. So we'll mount that there, kind of get these out of the way, and we'll make sure that everything still closes. And then once I screw that in, it looks like it in fact will all stay together. So the way I have it mounted here, you don't really have too many wires visible from the side or from the other side. So we'll clean that up a little bit, but for the now, it looks like everything is going to fit under there. And again, the battery will run right here, just kind of slanted upwards. It won't get in the way of the drivetrain or anything. So that should work right now for the purposes of what we're doing. But I'm going to go ahead and get this all plugged in, and then we're going to set the throttle to 0 like it said in the instructions, and then we'll power it on and see how it goes. Alright, so we have everything wired up. We have the ESC ready to go. We're going to go ahead and turn on our controller. We're going to make sure that the throttle is set down to 0 per the instructions. It does say to set it to 0. I'm going to go ahead and turn the ESC on right now. Very easy to get to. Just push the button and it starts up. See the lights turn on there. I'm going to go ahead, wait for that to start up. Looks like that's good to go there. And then just quickly getting a good glance of that Fat Viper motor. This is the Outrunner motor by INJORA. It's a 2400 kV, and I have to put together that transmission like you guys saw. But paired with that little mini ESC on this little Bug 24, you can see everything fits. Now again, I'll have to probably clean up the wiring a little bit, but so far so good. Let's see if we can get this closed up so we can get this tested here. Looks like everything closes there. It is a magnetic closure, so you can see it holds its own very well there. So everything's on. Let's go ahead and turn that throttle back on. And let's see what kind of speeds we get here. So right now we're going to go as slow as we can. right there when the trigger engages, and you can see how slowly those wheels are moving. And again, this is an entire INJORA build. Everything in this is INJORA, from the shocks to the links. The only thing that isn't INJORA are the wheels. I do have a set of purple wheels, or I believe pink wheels, coming in shortly, and then we'll throw those on here. But the tires and the inserts are also INJORA. But that range of motion right there for crawling looks to be like it's going to be really good. Let's get it up on some speed. Again, with these brushless motors, you can get really fast. So let's go ahead and test that out. And again, we are running 3S on this right now. So very nice range of motion. Should serve well while we're out climbing. Now it does, just in my hand and watching it drive, feel very, very smooth. I'm not sure if it feels smoother than the Mini Komodo. I can definitely say that this ESC is bigger than the Micro Python, but it does operate very smoothly. And again, for the price, about $66, $70, it seems to be doing very well. And that's with the motor and the ESC. So it does look like it's going pretty smooth there. I do like that. Everything's functioning. So let's go ahead and check this out, take it out and test it. Now I did a run before I put this motor in on a few rocks that we have out in the back of our shop. I'm gonna go ahead and take the same path with the Fat Viper and the new ESC to see what it can do, if it is any different. I know some of those rocks on that lines that I was taking on that video that you saw, or I'll show here shortly, I did struggle a bit getting up and over some of those rocks. So we'll see if that makes a difference with this new motor, the new ESC, and the 3S LiPo battery. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, we're going to try the current setup with the brushed motor on our little makeshift course here. Try this line coming this way. Makes it going to come up, down, and end right about here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. We'll come in through here, come up, and go straight across. So we'll see how the brushed motor does with this, and then we'll have another test with our brushless motor. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up so I can drive.
Oh, sick, dude. Thanks. Yeah.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that run through of the two different setups from the brushed and brushless setup and the old ESC and the new ESC. So one thing I can say between this and say like a FuryTech ESC, now this is a little bit bigger than the Micro Python, but I do like the button, the push button on this as opposed to the FuryTech. I will be doing a side-by-side once I get a better build that's more close to this one. The one I have, my FuryTech currently installed, has a lot of different upgrades that wouldn't make it fair for me to compare this to this. I may do it just for fun, but eventually we'll get a build that's more similar to this to compare it with a FuryTech motor and ESC so that we can do a side-by-side comparison. But as of right now, the INJORA ESC worked great. I did like the fact, again, that it was small. The button was easy to get to. I do like the space saving and how everything kind of just mounts in there together. Now, this build right now, with the exception of the tires, is entirely INJORA, from the inserts from the tires to now everything in the motor, the body, even though it is custom painted. Everything is INJORA on this, and like I said, so far it has been great, and with this new ESC it makes it that much better. It drives very smooth, so from that video you saw in the first run, it kind of had to get a running start to go up some of those rocks to get that line started. But with this, that low end torque really helped get it up those rocks and around those corners. So I really did enjoy that. Now, I didn't give a better perspective on the second run with this installed, only because I had an extra driver. The first time I did it, I didn't have an extra driver. It was just me. The second time, when I was testing this out, I had another driver, so that's why you have some better footage with the motor and the new ESC. So just keep that in mind, that I wasn't playing favorites. I just had an extra driver at the time. But so far, this Fat Viper, this is a 2400 kV. Really like it. I've been wanting this for a while. When I went to go get it, they didn't have it in stock anymore, only because they'd stopped selling it with this new ESC coming out. So we did run it with a 3S, and the 3S LiPo, let's see if I have it here, is this one right here. And it does have the plug that you need already, so that is a good start to make things a lot easier for you. So running a 3S power on this, and this whole entire setup with all the INJORA parts works really great. Again, I love that low end torque, how smooth and slow it can crawl. And again, I didn't get any, it didn't get really hot or anything. At first, I felt like maybe it was getting hot because of the lights. I unplugged them and it was fine, but I'm not sure if that was the case, if that's what was wrong or not. But either way, like I said, I might remove those rock lights and make it a lot cleaner inside. But a lot of space saving. Running that battery right here in the front really kept everything low to the ground as far as weight. But so far, so good. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any suggestions or any comments or any questions in general, make sure to put those down below. I will be linking in the description where to purchase the motor and the ESC. I'll also link some other parts that I have on this. Again, it's all INJORA, and I'll be doing a full breakdown of this particular build with the links and shocks and anything else that I have in here. So if you guys have any questions directly on that, let me know. Maybe I'll do that video first. But overall, I do want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for subscribing. And remember, if you guys want any of this, we'll have it linked in our description, and we'll see you guys next time.